Ladies and gentlemen, we are back again with the rundown. Don't worry, it's not just me and Dylan. Conor is here, but as he said to us before he came on the stream, just briefly, he has spilt beer, and I'm going to wait for him to give me a signal to come back on. He doesn't look like he is. We're going to talk about it all. There's been some upsets. I thought week 6 wasn't going to be a cracking week. I was wrong. There were some upsets, specifically some upsets that we got wrong. Let's just bring Conor in here as well. Specifically, some games that we all got wrong. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss the terms of our subsequent retirement going forward. We're also going to be joined by the head coach of the Reading Knights, Rob Smith. He's going to come on. We're going to ask him what it's like to be such a young coach and so the team that I didn't think would do well this year. Turns out another thing I was wrong about. And then we're going to go into our week 7 picks, and hopefully we are going to get at least some of our games of the week correct, because we've picked out some games of the week. Week 7 is looking particularly spicy, and hopefully we're not going to curse our games of the week much like we did last week. So, gentlemen, how are we?
We're all frauds.
Listen, do you know what? I fucking love it. Like, genuinely, I love it. I love the fact that it's the bits you see on Instagram and stuff afterwards, like of people having a go at you. So I was like, you know what? Fine, if that's what it took for you guys to get
that's it.
And put that performance, then fine, like great.
That's that's how I look at it.
I'm now convinced that Liverpool game would have been the one that, had it not been postponed, that would have been the one that they lost this year to stop them again. But
what, York St John? Sorry, Dylan, but no.
Well, we look at the other games. Who knows? It's happened to us twice. Did you ever think? Did you really think Newcastle were beating Durham?
He gets a few right, and he just starts being Daddy Big Bollocks, doesn't he?
Oh, mate, honestly, he's that guy now. He's that guy now. No, I want to say this. No, so I'm going to quickly go over the week 7 scores. Bullets beat Cardiff at 62-0 in a game that was only 3 quarters. Leeds Beckett at 5-0 went 69-0 against the Sterling Klansmen. Nice. Hey. Nice. The Pride, 46-0 over the Pirates. Now, the big one, Newcastle beats Durham 28-13. We didn't have that. Unbelievable stuff. Now, in Division 1, the other one we didn't get, Edinburgh, 0. Glasgow, 9. Leeds Griffins hold the top spot, 4-0. 48-0 against the Hull Sharks. I'm so sorry, Conor, but the MMU Eagles lost 42-25 over the LJMU Fury, and Manchester Tyrants beat the Sheffield Sabres 32-28. Loughborough go to 4-0. Another shutout.
I believe that's wrong. I believe that was 32-18.
Then we'll change it.
Close. It was a 32-18.
41-0 to Loughborough over Coventry. Warwick 0, NTU 9. Bournemouth Uni Bobcats 28, Southampton Stags 2, the Exeter Demons 25, and the Swansea Titans 6. Swansea fallen to 0-4 after being relegated. The Oxford Lancers, we'll get into this. There's another shutout, 0 against the Portsmouth Destroyers 21. Hertfordshire Hurricanes 55, another shutout. 0 against the Sussex Saxons. Imperial defeated, I believe. Oh, it is. Sorry, not QMBL. 32-6 over the Essex Blades. Kent Falcons, they beat QMBL 34-0. And then moving on to Division 2. UWS Pyros get a walkover victory over Sunderland. Brilliant. And the Heriot Watt Wolverines 40. Aberdeen Bulls 7. Another one that me and Conor got wrong. Obviously, Dylan can't comment because of all his good friends. Edgehill 40. Bangor 0. Bradford 22. York Centurions 22. Another draw. I think it's the second draw. ARU Siege 0. Leicester Longhorns 25. And the Derby Braves 37. Kiel Crusaders 6 as Kiel fall to 0-3. The UE Bullets 2s make their debut, beating the Plymouth Blitz 20-14. The Kingston Cougars pick up their first win of the season, 14-0 over the UEL Phoenix. And the 4-0 number 1 ranked Division 2 team, the KCL Regents, defeat the UCL Emperors 21-0. Mad.
Can I before we're gonna go on this, but for one thing, can I ask you how you feel about this whole? I didn't actually realize it. I don't know why it's clearly happened in the last few years. Why are we playing out draws? Why are we not allowed overtime in the regular season?
Honestly, it's a strange one because I remember that this is back when I was playing at Lincoln. I forget who we had a draw against, but I remember like we started playing overtime and then someone went, "Oh no, there's draws now."
Yeah,
And I remember it was like
it hurts my head. I don't like it.
no, I don't understand it either.
I reckon
I really don't.
It makes it really messy.
Yeah, I
It
think
does.
we run ones. Do something like that. Not overtime, something in between. Classic uni ball. Field goal kicking contest could go on for hours. It'd be immense. Aye.
But like someone's going to score. Like it should be sort of. I don't think we should have like the college system where it's, quintuple overtime, and you're there until you.
Yeah, but I don't.
Which game was it in the season though? That was a 0-0.
That was the
Who
Sabres.
imagine that?
That was Sabres LJMU. That was an Ireland.
Imagine Sabres LGMU 0-0. It'd still be a now. No.
But then
That's-
you put like. But surely you can put a cap on that, but at least give some team a chance to go and win it.
Yeah. Well, we've seen was it 14
like-
shutouts this week?
So it was a 14 shutouts. 25 games were played. What?
Yeah.
What is like? This is why Uniball is the best sport on earth. Like it's inconsistent. Let's get that consistency rate up. Let's see what our guest last week, Lindsay's saying, and Lindsay's waiting for my apology, but we'll get to that. Probably because it's not consistent overtime rules, especially because so many Bucks games are self-officiated. Yeah, that is probably why.
I get that, Lindsay. I genuinely do. I think, but surely it wouldn't take a huge amount of work to make that happen and to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, just play an extra quarter.
Yeah, I think be interesting to hear what you again kind of. This is just another thing to hear what you guys think. So in the flag game from this year, at least one member of every single team has to do a refereeing qualification. I wonder what you guys think about making teams' coaching staff do that.
It makes sense considering the amount of refereeing that has to happen from coaches, especially on the lower levels the Div 2. I'm sure that like there are some teams that struggle. Like to be fair, Dylan, you're probably more tuned in, and so are you, Lindsay, on the sort of refereeing situation.
We had a ref.
In Scotland.
We had a coaching ref this week, or a coach who volunteered as ref.
Yeah, the Scotland crew will admit the Glasgow Edinburgh game because there was only one crew. That's just how it worked.
Yeah.
No, we had somebody who told us at the start that he wasn't going to see holding, and fair play to him. I don't think there was a holding call in the entire game, but it's just we had like three. One of our refs was the quarterback from UWS Pyros. It was I don't know how he got to Aberdeen. Fair play to the boy, but genuinely, it's been like the refs don't seem to exist at the moment.
It's a great way to scout.
Borders 2 is a strange one. And that Lindsay's actually saying that Conor that is coming is a self-officiating top up for level 1.
Oh, very nice.
Lindsay knows. David Hall,
clued in clearly.
That's it. David Hall says do a golden point OT first team to score. Yeah.
But in a 0-0 game, like that's still going to be a problem. You've got to put a time limit on it at that point, don't you?
See, I just like the simple NFL. Just you play one extra quarter, one drive each, touchdown, back touchdown. No one gets one field goal, and if it doesn't, then congratulations, you've bought yourself a draw, and you can just deal with it.
More drama though.
Yeah,
that's
so we're going to get off. We're going to get off the officiating, and we need to delve into the fact that we don't know what we're talking about. Sorry, guys. Sorry if this is news to you.
Don't clearly.
Because we're going to go over our games of the week. We're going to start off with Edinburgh Predators versus the Glasgow Uni Tigers. As you can see, we all picked Edinburgh. This is Glasgow's first Division 1 win this season. Anyway, it's the first win of the season, 9-0 against the Edinburgh Predators. And Glasgow did not hold back in making sure that we are fully aware that we did not pick them. And
I absolutely loved it.
Love it.
Do we know how they got 9 points?
No, but I'm sure we can find out for next week.
Yeah, if someone
They
tells us,
scored points.
I want. No, I do know. Sorry, it was a touchdown and a safety because it was on their Instagram.
Perfect.
Touchdown and
Look at that.
safety.
Touchdown, extra point, and a safety. I believe. If someone who's watching from Glasgow and wants to correct me, that's fine. But I believe it was a touchdown and a safety.
And it's just strange because, like, again, I didn't see it coming at all. You know, like, I don't. It's one of those things where sometimes I'll feel bad. Like the Durham Newcastle one, I can sort of feel somewhat bad about. This one, I've got no regrets about picking Edinburgh.
No,
Genuinely, I don't.
It might be that it's a case of, you know, you go through the season and we're proven sort of right. But I guess it's the proof that any given Sunday, isn't it? We said it last week.
Oh,
the week
100%.
before. Any given Sunday, a team turns up and you put a performance in, and it's amazing to see. You got to like take your hat off to them, and yeah, great, well done.
That's literally like all you can say is just congratulations, Glasgow. We're going to move on to the second of our game of the weeks, another one that wasn't in Scotland because two of them were. This is the Prem one. Durham 13, Newcastle 28. The whole slate of us, Durham Saints, and it's one of those things where I think I just may have been swooning too hard over the performance Durham put on the week prior against Sterling, and I went, Newcastle. What makes this interesting is obviously Newcastle had the walkover loss earlier in the season, and it sort of gives them a bit of padding now because of that 2 points Bucks loss. With a win here over Durham, if they can beat Sterling again, and Sterling don't win a game, it looks like Newcastle will be
has that been
a Prem team next year.
Has that been confirmed? The
walkover. I believe so. Yes, it's on Bucks Play. So yeah, it's on Bucks Play. So
it'd be interesting to speak to somebody from Newcastle and find out what happened and get their side of that, because obviously a singular walkover does not look good, but you don't know the full story.
Yeah, there seemed to be that like a lot of it was cloudy in terms of what exactly went on. It came down to we originally thought it was just like a loss, but Big Mike, our guy who basically just keeps us on track for anything referee related. I don't believe he's a ref, but he knows that he did the 75% rule. If a game isn't played 75% completion and another team decides not to come out onto the pitch, then it gets ruled a walkover in favour of the team that stayed on the pitch and wanted to play. So that's what happened within that Newcastle loss, I believe. I believe, and then we're going to move on to the last one. Now, this one we have got a bit of semi inside because Dylan's such good friends with the Harriet Watt quarterback. This one. Again, didn't see it coming. I'm so Aberdeen 7, Harriet Watt Wolverines 40. Now, obviously, when Aberdeen beat Edinburgh Napier, we were all, whoa, Jesus Christ, what the hell? Oh my God, this is amazing! Like one of the biggest wins of the season. Aberdeen haven't played since that game.
I think that's got to hurt.
I think that I expected the game to be somewhat close. I didn't think it'd be a blowout, but 40-7. Dylan, tell me about. I imagine you've heard some things about.
As you know, I'm a committed member of the Harriet Watt cheerleading squad, so I went up with the boys for the weekend and I saw it firsthand. It was. I think they also expected a quite close game. There was a feeling in the dressing room. I know the cheerleading squad were getting a lot of stick about the Sportank post and the fact that there wasn't a vote from myself and how they'd both gone against us. But I think we definitely expected a close game. And then there was a point, I think 3 minutes to go, it went to 7-16. They managed to get a touchdown back. And then the Harriet Watt quarterback, stud, just drove the ball upfield and then ran end zone with the last play of the half, and they never really sort of recovered the game from there. I think as soon as it went 24-7 before the half, and then it just carried on down that road. It was a running clock for the second half because Aberdeen is unbelievably north, so it was getting dark At like 3:30, I think Son went down. We got it through the whole game though. But yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot of chat about the Sport Tank predictions because it almost got into the heads. We thought it was going to be far closer, or they thought it was going to be sort of, as you said, a closer game, and it felt like a big game going to it. But no, it's testament. Looked good, and it's good to sort of get the big games in. You've muted yourself.
It's an impressive win. There's no getting around it. It's pretty impressive, and like you say, that's not an easy trip. You know, for people who don't know, that's a 3-hour bus journey, and the rest to get up there. I don't actually know where in Aberdeen the Bulls play, but that's a tough ask to have to go up there and again, like you say, you know, me and Tebbs both picked against Harriet Watt, and I did that certainly for me on the lay of the land. You look at like Tebbs says, you look at that first result against Napier and you go, oh, the Bulls are ready, but actually it looks like that, you know, it's going to be a dogfight to see who wins that league, and the Bulls, like I think you mentioned it, Dylan, that the Bulls now have to go and play Napier again at the end of the season. So yeah, it's getting interesting, and with seemingly both, you know, Sunderland and Teesside kind of in the wind, it's getting spicy.
It's going to be very interesting to see like who's going to come out of that. You know, I'm not willing to, you know, stake the claim on Harriet Watt yet, and I don't even think that Dylan and the cheerleading squad, or even, you know, Lindsay, would be willing for me to stake it out there, because I don't know what's happening with obviously Teesside or Sunderland or UWS, because like there seems to be a division in terms of shambleness going on in the borders. Like, don't get me wrong, like I don't think it's gonna like sort of come down to it, but I think it's a good result. And I'm going to give you a half apology. I'm going to give you half of one, and you can pass that back to the cheerleading squad. But hopefully this week.
Go on, sorry.
No, go on, Connor.
I was going to say I'm not going to apologize for my pick. I will apologize that I picked them, but I won't apologize for the logic behind it, because the logic was sound.
Oh no! Like the logic sound. It's just that I think that I'm too sort of gung ho on. Oh my God, they beat Edinburgh Napier when, you know, Edinburgh Napier played one game. Obviously not their fault, obviously, but they've only played one game this season. But there is one team who, you know, I'm willing to stake my claim that they probably won their division already. And we get into that actually due to the fact that I've just had a message from our guest Rob Smith that he's having some IT issues. I'm going to get into it now because we might as well. KCL Regents, they're very good, I think, and I'm willing to put that. Yeah, it is their year. Their KCL are currently 4-0. They've not conceded a point yet. They saw off City Wolfpack win a touchdown in the fourth quarter. This week they saw off the Emperors in the London Bowl, as they called it. And KCL were very polite and asked if Sport Tank was able to come down to go to the game. Unfortunately, obviously Connor had a game, Dylan was cheerleading, and I do have a game in a couple of weeks, which I'd very much like to be starting in. So I can do it. This is the problem with playing as well as doing this, is that I can't then go to as many university games as I like. They seem to have the divisions. It's not particularly strong. I'll say that now. You know, if they beat City were their close competitors. They've got Kingston. Their game against Kingston has been postponed. It was supposed to be this Sunday. It's now on the 11th. Then they've only got one game after Christmas. And it's against Canterbury, and Canterbury haven't won a game yet. It's very.
have they bagged themselves? Is that I think from my math they may well have already bagged themselves a playoff spot.
Oh, they've already bagged themselves a playoff spot, but I think that I think they're getting promoted. Then I think
yeah, that's
where
your head's got turned, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're getting there. I think KCL's promotion dreams are currently a reality. I don't think don't get me wrong, Kingston won this weekend, but I don't think Kingston are going to beat KCL. I don't think Canterbury are going to beat KCL, and they've got 2 games left. They win 2, that's it. They are being promoted, and fair enough to KCL. They've built a good team out there, and you know what, their social media is cracking. They're already in the front runners. I'm fairly certain that we are going to do before the Christmas break the game, because we do go on Christmas break as well. We don't talk over Christmas about games that haven't happened yet, but we are going to maybe do our half season prediction, or not predictions, our half season awards as of yet, and I'm sure Dylan will be trying to sway a social media award for Harriet Watt, but
I'm completely unaffiliated. I don't know what you're on about.
No, on the cheerleading squad. Sorry, who's got the best cheerleading? Who's got the best cheerleading social media? But just before Coach Smith gets on, I'll give you a bit of background on the Reading Knights. Reading Knights, obviously, they were part of that 2 teams who were sent down last year due to the inclusion of the SGS Pride in the Div 1 Southwest, with them and Bath Killer Bees going down. Reading didn't end up in the Southwest 2, but they've been relegated. A new head coach was brought in. That head coach was Rob Smith, formerly of the OBU Panthers. I believe he was DC at OBU, and also he was assistant D-line coach at the Lincoln Colonials, which is where I met Rob. And with Rob, he's one of the youngest coaches in Britball, and it's just gonna be interesting to see where that sort of journey has taken him so far, and what's it looking like. He's currently undefeated as a head coach already, which is quite impressive, especially considering a relegated team with a new head coach. You don't really see it. So hopefully he can come on. If not, then I'm just gonna I'll just go into picks, and we can talk about how big of idiots we are again next week. In fact, you know what? Due to him not being here,
it's because here's a question for you. If you can come in, you can come in. It's again to shout out one of our guys, Scott. He's our head coach. He's young. He's younger than me. He's a really, really young head coach, and for his first year as a head coach, we went 7-0 and got promoted. But a big part of what he does is he's part of the Manchester Titans setup. He plays there, so he takes a lot of his experience there and brings it down to the Uniball game. I'd be interested to kind of get your guys' take on the connections between senior ball and Uniball, and for young players in senior ball coming and coaching Uniball, and whether that helps.
Especially coming from a place like the Titans, which obviously they cracked it. They won the national title over the Warriors, which even back when I was doing senior ball predictions, which I don't normally do. I picked the Warriors to win basically on name value alone. Yeah, there you go. So just because Rob's waiting on something, we're gonna. Oh, Dylan's got a point.
I was just gonna say with us, because we've got the Edinburgh Bulls up here, I think it's a bit more the other way, in that actually over summer we had a few lads playing there. I know the other teams in Edinburgh do it. There's a fair few sort of Scottish teams kicking about. So you got Stirling as well, obviously Glasgow, and you see the helmets knocking about during uni games. But I think in our team's case, it's more people go there and play a bit in summer rather than vice versa. I know Napier Knights have a setup where they get a few lads at uni who have been through the entire setup from a young age and gone through their academy, such setting. But definitely, I think if for coaches who've coached at Prem, they've got another level of insight on the game versus sort of your ex-player coaching whose knowledge of Uniball is pure Uniball and never really sort of taken a step out of that. But I know the Wolves for us have been really massive, and it's meant from the women's setup we've managed to find, I think, 4 coaches and plenty of support from it as well. So it's great for us.
Yeah, but that's my point. Is that gonna, does that filter through, and is there a different different skill set coaching uni ball than coaching? Because obviously most of the senior ball coaches, they're older, they're more experienced, you work your way through the ranks. But with uni ball, it tends to be a bit different. Do you think it's a different skill set, or just attracts a different type of coach and things like that, or what?
We've had a lot of that sort of this year, because I think all of our coaches have sort of come from senior setup, and I know how there's been a lot of frustration to do with like it's stuff like attendance and training, and they're asking where they are, and there's no answer other than on a bender, and they're probably waking up tomorrow. But it's like, it's the skill set. I think they bring another level of intensity. We had sort of uni ball coaches last year who never coached at senior, or one of them had coached at senior level. But it's definitely been a step up having senior level coaches this year. And you can tell it's a lot more intense. It's a lot better structured. I think they more bring their style of coaching down to uni ball and expect the same results rather than change the way they do it.
So with that, we can ask the man, because he's finally managed to work out how to actually work a computer.
Yeah, just about.
What on, Rob? Hold on.
Getting there.
What, you had to dress in the kit, didn't you? You had to.
Oh, of course, yeah. I even got the sport tank cap somewhere. It doesn't fit me, just for the special occasion.
Why doesn't it fit? Why doesn't it fit you, Rob?
Huh?
Why doesn't it fit you?
I haven't adequately signed head.
Yes, that's what we've said. So, everyone, welcome Rob Smith, head coach of the Reading Knights. God, it's been a while since I've seen you, Rob. I think the last time we did this was an actual interview that I did on Sport Tank when you were just prepping, when it was just whispers in the air that Reading was going to be calling your name for the HC role. So, I guess that the starting thing is to sort of introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, so don't really have much more to add. That's quite a nice introduction. Rob Smith, head coach at Reading. Last year I was the DC OBU. Before that, I was Chris's coach at the Lincoln Colonials for a season under Chris George and the guys over there. And before that, I was a player at OBU in Reading when I was at uni. So nothing really else to add. Not really. But, yeah.
So, but like while you were dealing with sort of the IT issues, I was just sort of telling the story of Rob Smith so far in terms of being quite a young coach within Uniball. So, like, sort of basically, how old are you, and like, did you see this sort of trajectory when you like first started coaching?
No, so it's all come very fast, and things have been quite fortunate with how it turned out. I think that my first season of coaching was 2019-20 with you, Chris.
Yeah, I believe so.
My third season of coaching, and in that time I've got to work with the All Stars guys. Got to obviously be a DC OBU. Sort of picked it up after COVID again, and sort of was quite fortunate in the timing when Reading asked me to come back and step into the head coaching role there. So yeah, I didn't expect the trajectory at all, and I think it happens to a lot of young coaches. And there's a few guys on my roster as well who sort of don't really know where they're going to go with coaching. I sort of say the same thing. A couple of years ago, I was an assistant positional coach, and things can very quickly, change based on the situation, and you can sort of end up flung into a head coaching job quite quickly if you want to go and do that. So yeah, I didn't expect it at all, but it's all good fun.
Then sort of the story of the Reading Knights as well, obviously relegated last year, and as you've made me fully aware, not very happy with the 2 full stars that I gave to Reading. Like, are you surprised how quickly you've been able to sort of, obviously it's difficult to say turn around because we're only partway through, we're not halfway through the season yet, but Reading Knights are currently undefeated, 1 walkover, beating Surrey in a walkover, which as I said, unfortunately, I didn't put that game on our sheet, but I even admitted to you that if we were to have put it on the sheet, I would have picked Surrey. Are you surprised about how just the results you've had this quickly?
I mean, I was always brought in on a sort of on the basis of looking to rebuild the program. I think that the pieces at Reading have always sort of been there. I can't take much credit. You know, I've got a really big coaching staff full of a lot of experienced coaches who sort of helped me as well in the role that I've been in as a rookie head coach. So I'm not surprised at all, really, because the guys, and as you say, the season's not done. You know, we could still finish 3-3. You know, I'm never going to turn around and talk a lot of big ourselves up too much, but we've got ourselves in a really good position early on. The guys have worked really hard. So I came in April, and we got the guys working on OTAs in April, right through to July. So they only really had 6-7 weeks off, as opposed to the normal uni ball, you know, March to September. So the guys have put the effort in, and I've sort of said to them since the start, you know, if you do put this new effort in and you know, try and achieve what we're trying to do here in Div 2, the results will follow. And I think that, yeah, they're starting to see the fruits of that. But as I say, we've got a lot of work to go. A lot of big games coming up: Brighton, Solent, and OBU, three very tough teams. So yeah, that's still a lot of work to go, and hopefully we can carry on the trajectory that we're going.
Especially with Brighton this weekend, because Brighton are the only currently undefeated team in your division, apart from yourselves, of course. What are your thoughts going into that game? Because it's probably your biggest game so far. To be fair, I would also have counted Surrey as quite a large game for you as well.
Yeah, so Brighton are a very well-run program. I know their head coach, Ollie Kent, through working with them at All Stars. He's a fantastic coach. They've lost one game since he's sort of come in. I think it's the Lancers last year, who obviously went on to get promoted. So they'll be a very tough team. They've already sort of shown how good they can be against Winchester so far, and against what from all accounts is a very good Solent team as well. So it'll be a really tough game. I'm not going to ever call it.
No, yeah, I'm not going to ask you to. I'm not going to ask you to. Don't worry.
Between me and Ollie for the year. So I know he's looking forward to coming and playing on our lovely grass pitch. It's all been nice and watered and muddy for him. So yeah, it'll be a good game, and I think it will make or break our season. I think depending on how it goes. So we shall soon see.
And then speaking of like other people you've got to play, last game of the season, Reading are at OBU. Do you think it's going to be quite strange facing your old team?
Yes. So I mean, funnily enough, I did this before, and I sort of joked about it when it happened again. As a player, I switched from OBU to Reading and then played against OBU at varsity, and then we won. And that's something I do love to bring up now and again. But it will be very strange, yeah. And a lot of the guys at OBU are still there from when I was working with them last year. A lot of respect for everybody there, and Nick White's the head coach, who put so is the reason that I'm get to do all the really cool stuff I get to do in Britball. So it'll certainly be strange to go back there, especially so soon after last year. But again, it'll be a very good game, and I'm sure they'll be wanting to piss me off. So it'll be a very competitive fixture. They have been the last couple of years. Our varsity games have always been quite a good affair. Our one last year went to triple overtime because we were allowed to play overtime, obviously at varsity. So yeah, it'll be a good way to end the season for sure.
Sort of more like just general questions that we've asked our guests going forward. They've sort of got a new one here because this week 25 games were played. 14 of those games were walkovers. What do you think that reflects on?
Not walkovers, shutouts, Tebbs. They're not walkovers.
Sorry, shutouts. I keep making that. God, to be fair, if there were 14 walkovers, this league would be in some deep trouble.
We'd be quitting, I think, if that had happened.
Oh yeah. There'd be no point of having this show if they were all walkovers. 14 shutout victories. What do you think that shows about Uniball? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Just what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's obviously dependent on what's causing them. I think some of them it's obviously in the Premier, you've got a lot of scholars coming in, and maybe other teams that haven't invested in that, and that's sort of creating a bit of a divide up there. I think the lower down the divisions you go, I think some teams are starting to suffer the after effects of COVID still. And I think maybe last year they didn't have that. Maybe they were lucky, and this year it's caught up with them. I know it caught up with Reading last year, and it was our turn last year to have that issue. You know, we had 7 guys come back from COVID last year, 7 guys returning who'd played football before last year, and that's, you know, you have 7 guys that have played football before, and you've got 7, you know, you've got 6 weeks. We have to play SGS in game 1, so it's. I think a lot of teams have maybe, you know, starting to get a bit of an afterbite from not having a recruitment year, and that's sort of definitely you know, playing a part towards that. But yeah,
I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the last year that'll happen. So technically, I don't know about you, but from my point of view, we don't have a huge amount of our squad actually graduating at the end of this year because there's very few third years. So I think that's played a massive part. I don't know about how you build your squad, and maybe you can kind of go into that in terms of, you know, like recruiting and how that's gone for you. But it's been tricky to kind of try and essentially replace a full recruiting year because you just didn't have one.
Yeah. So for us, it was a case of being a little bit patient with it. Like we knew I think the guys who were on the staff last year knew the situation that they were in. But the flip side is that, you know, what was a 40-person team of rookies last year is, you know, a 40-person vet, 30-person vet squad this year. So I came into a situation where we already had 35 guys who'd played a year of football in Division 1 heading into Division 2, which is, you know, pretty unheard of. And then adding to that, we had a massive rookie class intake this year to mix in with the vets who, you know, played last year. We're taking 65, 70 players to game. We took 65 players to our last game day. So it sort of benefits us, but we've sort of got that year where COVID affected us out of the way. And I think maybe some other programs, you know, are having that issue this year. But yeah, we've been quite fortunate this year. And I think, and I sort of said to you, Chris, and we've sort of talked behind the scenes, you said, why have we taken on Reading? You know, why have we gone to Reading? And I think it's because, you know, the pieces are there in that respect. You know, that rookie squad from COVID is going to be a vet squad very soon. So, yeah.
And for those wondering, my government name is Chris. It's just because no one calls me Chris. No, it's fine.
To pick up on that point, you kind of talked about, you know, the pieces being there, and obviously you've moved over, you've come from another program, and you've come in to do a job, and you kind of you've done it pretty well. When you came in, were you thinking, you know, right, this year we've got to do something, or did you come in with half an eye on, you know, 3-4 years in the future of establishing yourself back in the uni after what had been such a difficult season for Reading?
I think it's sort of twofold, because you always go into it. I mean, I've spent most of my career in Div 2 with OBU, Lincoln. And you always go into the year thinking about 6-0, and you always pick yourself up. So there's always that thought in your head, and if it comes, it comes. You know, it's football works in cycles with rosters and whatnot. But when the committee interviewed me, it was very much like a 3-year vision for the team. But we're hitting the sort of peak of our cycle in the next couple of years. Got a lot of, you know, senior guys who've gone away and played senior ball over the summer, especially on our O-line, that sort of thing. So we are sort of hitting that in the next year or two with the current roster we've got, where I think we can compete. So yeah, it's definitely a 2 or 3 year thing. I don't want it to be a case of, you know, we have one good year because we've over recruited and then, you know, we struggle the next year. It's definitely about building the foundation for the program to start back up again, because essentially we had to start the team again from naught in terms of the players that we had and the culture that was there. So it's definitely more about building a long-term thing, from my perspective. And if you know, I'm 2 or 3 years down the line, if I can hand the program over to whoever's next in a better state than I found it, then I've done my job.
What's your goal for the rest of the year now?
Rest of the year, I mean, the aim for us after the start we've had is to carry that on and hopefully enter the playoff push. I know how tight the playoff bracket can be in Div 2. It would be good to get the guys some winning football. I sort of talked to them about, you know, expectations. And last year the expectation was to win a football game, you know, and the expectation this year is the bid's been on them to win 6. So it's been very much a big change of mindset. But if we can have a winning season with the guys this year, I'll be a very happy guy. And I think I was talking to the old head coach about the last time Reading had a winning season, and it's going back a few years now. So that will be a big achievement in itself. And anything that comes from that a bonus, whether it's playoffs, whether it's potentially promotion, then yeah, take it week by week, see where we go.
Hey, Coach, you've also said like you've got one of a very large coaching staff. Like, how much do you think that aids your players in having such a large coaching staff, and what was it like to recruit like a larger than normal squad of coaches?
Oh, it's massive, and I think I sort of benefit. Reading have always, I think, a lot of people don't really appreciate the ins and outs of a team like Reading. And when I played there, they had a massive coaching staff, and I haven't actually taken that many guys over with me. They still had 12, 13 guys in the books when I sort of joined, and I've sort of supplemented that with a few guys that I've worked with before, a couple of guys that I had over with me at OBU last year, a couple of new guys who've sort of joined the program, coach from Plymouth Blitz from last year who's done a fantastic job with our D-line. So yeah, it's been an interesting challenge. It definitely benefits the guys because I think they struggled last year with perhaps having consistent coaching. This year we've got a guy in every 2 coaches per position. There's always someone there. We've got 2 fantastic coordinators who sort of take a lot of the stress off of me. And it just lets me, try and build the culture of the team while they do, the actual difficult football stuff. So, yeah, having a massive staff has been a fantastic boost. But Reading has a really good culture of letting old boys come back and coach. A lot of us on my staff are guys I've played with, guys that coach me. There's a really good culture of that on board. So, it's in a very good position, even before I sort of came along.
And then, like, just a question that we've got in from the comments, so we can sort of disregard like the UWS Pyros things, and we'll talk about that sort of later on. Like, how is it interacting with Reading Uni in terms of recruitment and pushing the sport in general?
So we haven't done much. Our SU's been pretty good with us. We've communicated over the summer, and they've helped us promote and everything like that. But Reading typically. I don't think there's been much of a sports university. It's not really, something that's been pushed very much there. We've done a lot of recruitment off our own back. We've done a really good job ourselves of getting there. But in terms of pushing the sport, all we can do is make the program, a sellable asset to the university and have some success, and hopefully they'll start to pay us a bit of attention. Get those all important bucks points and whatnot, but. I think the foundations are definitely in place to start having a good relationship with the university. We've got our lovely new uniforms that look great. We've got a lot of guys coming back. We're starting to win football games again. So yeah, all part of the process, I think, but we will get there.
How much do you love your new unis? Because I swear your Instagram is just 90% your.
It's too much. And I was part of the year group that got given the previous uniforms, and I just remember the utter disgust in the changing rooms. And it was, I'm pretty sure I've only become head coach as an endeavour to get them replaced, and now I've done that, I'll ride off into the sunset. But
you can call it a win no matter what your record is.
Exactly. The old vets chat, we'll go 0-6, but at least we've got nice names in the back of our tops now, so it's all good.
Oh, you got names on the back of your tops? Bloody hell!
Oh, yeah.
What's that like?
Fantastic.
don't know, and I don't think whoever I play for, whoever that is, they're not going to give me any names on the back of my jerseys. Unbelievable. That's all I've ever wanted.
Just to pick up on a point there, and actually kind of part of that, I think everybody knows, I think I've made my feelings on this point quite clear when we last talked about it. They're about, this idea that you can just recruit better and that'll save your program. When that is such an issue, with universities in general are expanding, the number of societies and sports teams that are being offered are so much. The opportunities are so much wider. What do you think you've done well to stand out against that?
So the guys have done I sort of sat with the committee and the new social media guy and the president about what we needed to do, and they've pushed so hard on recruitment this year. Right from April, we were having new guys turn up to our OTAs in April, May. We really pushed hard on it. We were extremely aggressive at sports there. We aren't in a position where we're going to get scholars or a lot of programs are able to recruit from the unders programs with sort of a sellable asset. I know Brunel have done a fantastic job of that sort of stuff. So for some of the other Div 1 Prem programs, but that's just not a position that we're really in. So having the guys out and about promoting the sport has been really good this year, and it's sort of shown with the fact that we've got, we haven't really lost many rookies from our rookie day. We're still averaging around 50 to 60 guys at practice every week, having the same amount of guys. And I think from our aggressive recruiting, we've ended up with, we've had quite a few guys who've played the sport before, perhaps come back to the sport. They've come to Reading to their masters. We've got a guy from Birmingham Lions, we've got a guy from Swansea, a guy who's come from the Milano Seamen as a receiver. So we've recruited a lot of vets that I don't think would have otherwise perhaps got involved with the program if it wasn't so aggressively pushed by our team. So yeah, you have to make an effort nowadays, and I think we sort of clocked as well this year with a lot less guys turning up at rookie day. I think you used to take it for granted that 100 guys would turn up and you'd maybe keep 30 of them, whereas now you get about 30, 40 turn up and you've got to work your ass off to keep them there. So it's definitely a change in the last couple of years, and I think it's perhaps some of the teams have maybe struggled with that, but yeah, we're quite fortunate. But don't take it for granted.
I think we had Blum. That died on my back. I died. Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yes, you are back, Connor. Sorry.
That's fine. Sorry, my camera went. We had the same problem. We had, we used, obviously utilizing social media is such a big thing. We had a prospective players group on Facebook, as most teams do. We had 140 guys in there, and our rookie day, we really struggled. But actually, since then, we've had fairly regularly new people wanting to come and try the sport, and I think lots of teams. Again, I'll open it to you after this, but lots of teams think that rookie day's it, and if you don't get enough for rookie days and through freshers, that's it. That's the make or break, and that's a massive part of it. But I think we've got at least 10 or 12 guys extra to the program who didn't come to that taster session, who've just come because they heard about the sport late, or we had a social media presence, or the sports officer pushed us on their Instagram.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely sort of edging towards it. I know last year a lot of the guys who are making a big impact this year at Reading joined in January, joined late on. We've had a few guys join, during our OTA period. We really pushed recruitment like months before Fresh Ferry was even a thing. We've got guys who've joined after and whatnot. So yeah, there are definitely different ways of doing it. I think the old way of, as you say, relying on rookie day is perhaps becoming a thing of the past. We're finding issues with a lot of the guys don't use the typical ways that we used to recruit. So I think like 10% of our rookies use Facebook. So there's no real way to communicate with them anymore about where practice is, that sort of thing. So it's a real struggle. We've had to download this app where I don't know if some of you guys have used, it's like Stack app, where it's like none of you use Facebook. We aren't putting the playbook on TikTok, so we've created a really horrible boomer app where you're all going to have to come and live if you want to know what's going on. But that transition is difficult because the old way of doing it isn't really working anymore, I don't think.
Yeah. It is definitely a changing landscape. Definitely a changing landscape.
Not enough people know sports though. They only see highlights. Like I remember Freshers Fair, I walked up to someone. I was thinking in my head, it's like he would be great D end guard maybe. And he was like, "Oh, I'll be like Odell Beckham Jr." And it's like, "Nah, lad, no, you won't." But and then it's trying to get him down and be like, "Right, so forget the ball, stand there."
Get angry.
I thought I was going to be Saquon Barkley, but it's never materialised for me. Not ideal.
I can imagine just seeing you take a handoff at rookie day tabs and everyone just going, no.
Honestly, I mean this. We were doing a kickoff drill. Gloucestershire didn't tell me it was an onside kick, and every single time they aimed for me. What that tells you about how they view my agility. Well, that's really well. It says to itself. So, Rob, so as we sort of wind down and start to go into the picks, what would you say your goals are for coaching right now?
I think as you sort of alluded to at the start, I've sort of got to where I wanted to be quite quickly, and I'm quite fortunate with that. So I'm really happy in the spot I am now as a head coach. So I think from here it's just building a program. I love the idea of building a culture, building a program that the guys can really enjoy being a part of. Hopefully I want to stick around for at least 3 years at Reading, so I can see the current rookie class through to the end at least. That's my aim moving forward. And if I get to do anything else in the sport as part of that, then I'll be a happy guy. But right now, yeah, this is exactly what I want to be doing.
And then sort of, my last question before we move on to week 7. Am I the worst D lineman you've ever seen?
Oh, hands down. Yeah, you were terrible.
Hands down, yeah.
Your attitude also stank. So it's a bit of both.
Has he always
It's
been as bad as he
interesting
is predicting Uniball games as well?
Fired.
That's
yeah. There you go, Rob. That's a good. Have I?
What was that?
Has he always been as bad at predicting Uniball games? Because I've only been on the scene a few weeks, and I'm safe to say flying ahead so far. But
you're not flying ahead, you little rat. You had one good week last week. Honestly, he wins 3 games and suddenly, fucking hell, can't shut him up.
You've always been consistently bad at predicting my games, but I think that's on purpose. So
it's not. It's genuinely not on purpose. Well, so what? So like, give me your honest thoughts. What did you think when you saw that big Uniball list that took me too many hours and had to blow? Do you know how many social engagements I had to blow off to write that big list? None. But in the big list, what did you think when you saw that 2-star next to the Reading Knights name?
I definitely. I mean, as I said, I said to you, like, Reading are on a trajectory. Like they started the season losing whatever they did to SGS and everything, but if you looked at them after Christmas, they were slowly starting to put things together, conceding a couple of scores a game. I knew what they had coming back in terms of vets. I knew what they did to OBU when I was the DC there. I watched it myself with my own eyes. I watched this defense that had only conceded 31 points a year concede 31 points. So I knew that they were going to come back strong. So I sort of was a bit smug that I knew that wasn't going to last very long. And, you know, I hope I haven't jinxed it, but we'll continue to prove you wrong. I'll get to be even more smug at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's all this show is. It's proved me wrong. Let's just change the name of the show. But unless Dylan or Connor have got any more questions for Rob, we'll move on to week 7. So I'll open the floor.
No, I have loads, but I want to try and keep this under an hour and a half this week. So
no, oh yeah, and you see that, ladies and gentlemen, that's called professionalism, right there. So Rob has said that he will join us for the week 7 picks. I'm not sure if I'll put Rob's up because I think that might be a little bit unfair, but I'll put them up on the graphic. Is what I mean.
Yeah, it's because you don't want to change the format you've made.
No, do you want to know why? It's because we've actually got a new format coming out this week. So, there you go. I've not told either of you about it. So,
cheers.
Getting in.
Thanks for keeping us in the loop, mate.
No, your names are still on it, so stop complaining. It's not just going back to being me.
I will never stop complaining about you, Tebbs, ever.
That's it. That's literally all of Uniball. Never stop complaining about me. Unbelievable stuff. So, getting into week 7, in the Prem, we've got the Birmingham Lions versus the UE Bullets, the Durham Saints versus Leeds Beckett, the Nottingham Gold versus Newcastle Raiders, SGS versus UEA Pirates. In Division 1, we've got the Kent Falcons versus the Brunel Burners, the Southampton Stags versus the Swansea Titans, the Leeds Griffins versus the Glasgow Uni Tigers, the Sussex Saxons versus the Oxford Lancers, the Warwick Wolves versus Loughborough. It's difficult because Loughborough, just saying Loughborough is always strange. Imperial versus QMBL, Portsmouth versus Royal Holloway, Bristol versus Bournemouth, Staffordshire versus Coventry, MMU versus Sheffield Hallam, Sheffield versus LJMU, and Edinburgh versus Northumbria. In Division 2, we've got Edge Hill versus Lancaster, DMU versus Lincoln, ARU versus Kiel, UEL versus Canterbury, Notts Green versus Derby, York St John versus Bradford, Teesside versus Heriot Watt, Reading versus Brighton, Sunderland versus Edinburgh Napier, the UE Bullets 2s versus Taranai Aberystwyth, the Plymouth Blitz versus Bath Spa Bulldogs, Worcester versus the Bath Killer Bees, Greenwich versus UCL, and Chichester versus the Solent Redhawks. So, before we sort of go into the picks, we have got Games of the Week, and whoever is going to be on Games of the Week this week, we are sorry, because last week's Game of the Weeks did not turn out particularly well for us. Rob, we got all of them wrong, apart from Dylan, because he's not allowed to pick Heriot Watt games because he's such good friends with the people on Heriot Watt because he's on the Heriot Watt cheerleading squad.
Technically, he still got all of them wrong. He got all of them wrong anyway.
Yeah, technically you did get all of them
technicality. wrong. Because... would have had it. I was censored.
I was censored. Well, All right, then I'll just let you pick Harriet Watt games from now on, and you can see how that turns out for your friend, the quarterback. So, in our games of the week, starting with the Prem, we have got Notts Gold versus the Newcastle Raiders. Why is this game of the week? Well, the Nottingham Gold are coming off their first loss to Leeds Beckett, and the Newcastle Raiders with a surprising victory. It was surprising for us, probably not for Newcastle themselves, over Durham. Could be an interesting game. It's going to be interesting to see if Newcastle can get any points aboard, but Newcastle have the momentum and Nottingham are coming in suffering their first loss. I can personally see this being Nottingham taking out some of their frustrations. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. You look at last year and you look at that the Nottingham loss against against Beckett last year came late in the season, if I'm not mistaken.
It did. It was their second game against Beckett.
This is different. They're not used to this. They didn't expect this. They're not used to this. They're not used to someone coming in and kind of, challenging their crown early on in the season. I would expect them. I will probably pick Notts to win, but I don't think it will be a blowout. I don't think it will be a big score. I think they will come out somewhat shell-shocked. They'll want to play their game. They'll want to play it safe, and they'll want to just come out of there with the win and just reset.
No, I think Gold sort of returned to form. They're going to be annoyed after Leeds Beckett. I'm still perplexed to the result from Newcastle Durham because I was so sure Durham were winning that, but who knows? They might surprise me again, but I think it could be Gold by a fair bit, and it'll be a return to normality.
I think that's another with the Durham Newcastle score. It may well be another one where over the course of the season you take that one Sunday out of it, and over the course of the season Durham are a better side. But any given Sunday, Newcastle can beat them. I don't necessarily think that it's as close or far away as some people might think. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Rob, what about you? Do you think this is a return to form for the Gold?
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be great. I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be a blowout by any means, but I think Gold.
So moving on to Division 1. Now, this is a game that I have personally been looking forward to since I saw it on the docket. Both teams are undefeated in the Div 1 Southwest. It is the Bristol Barracuda. 3-0. Bristol have had 2 shutout victories, and against Swansea and Southampton, they then beat Exeter 29-22, whilst University of Bournemouth have not been able to pitch the same shutouts, but all of their games have been close. They've kept their opponents very low scoring in a game that very well could have playoff implications for the Div 1 Southwest. And I know that Coach Rains is watching because he was giving me some grief earlier about, I've already replied to training for Gloucestershire. You're not. I've already done it, Coach. leave it out. You're not even on the squad. But who have people got? I mean, I'm going to put it down. Bournemouth. I've doubted Bournemouth a bit too much this year. I genuinely didn't think that they'd be able to sort of translate their Div 2 success straight into Div 1. I thought they'd be able to do it, but I didn't think they'd be able to do it this year. But Bristol have been good. But for me, it's Bournemouth against Bristol.
Yeah, I'll pop in there. We had Bournemouth. They hosted us for a pre-season scrimmage. I've sort of seen firsthand what Steve's putting together down there. I'm not surprised at all with a 3-0 start at all. It'll be Bournemouth for me.
I'm going all in. Bristol.
Oh Christ!
Oh
no!
I've backed them against Exeter. I've backed them against Exeter. They pulled off that fourth quarter ridiculousness. I'm on the Bristol wagon. I'm all for it. Feel free to run this back past me next week, but I'm very much going for Bristol.
It's like I'm on the Bristol wagon, but I don't pick Pride or Bullets. Barracuda.
Yeah. No.
I have picked against Bristol twice, and both times they have bitten me in the arse. So I am gonna join Dylan here, and I'm gonna pick Bristol.
Well, this is a weird.
What was the retirement claim? Yeah.
Honestly,
that's gone. I just thought, I looked at it and went, actually, do you know what? You can't beat him, you might as well join him.
Hour and a half ago,
Connor,
I
mean this. Honestly, Connor, I'll tell you now, I didn't see that one coming.
No.
Did not see that one coming.
I didn't. It was if you pick Bristol, no, when I'm retiring. Give him an hour and a half. He's looked at the results. Suddenly, he's joining the wagon. We're on the Bristol wagon, and they're going to the Prem. And then they're going to beat the Bullets.
I wouldn't.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think they're going to win this week. That's it. Let's not go that.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
And in Division 2 this week, game of the week is going to be the Nottingham Green, who are putting on a dominant performance, looking to be the first seconds team to join Div 1. They're 3-0 in the Midlands. Derby Braves are also 3-0. Green are putting on an impressive performance, but Derby are sneaking in there. Games aren't as dominant as Nottingham Green's, but for me, it's Nottingham. It's a double Nottingham this week. So I'm sorry, Nottingham.
No, Notts Green are going to be the first second team to be promoted. It's the way it's going. They have been impressive. There's no two ways about it. They've been genuinely impressive.
I agree, but I think I also think Leicester are going to be the contenders for that. I think they're the only team to actually not concede a point in that division so far. And they're now 79 points off 2 games. I think Leicester are going to contend for that against Green. And I would probably back them over it, but Nottingham definitely this week for me.
I was going to say, it's not the game, Dylan.
No. I just think in terms of the promotion race, they're definitely still, in fact, they're more than in it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. That's fair enough. What about you, Rob, before we do the quick fires? Derby or yeah. Sorry, Derby. It's really bad because I remember having an argument with members of the Lincoln Colonials inside the McDonald's near the nightclub, after telling them that you should probably watch out for Derby. Didn't expect it to be watch out for Leicester and watch out for Notts Green. So, Rob, I'm not sure if you have.
It's nice to see, like, genuinely, like, as much as we kind of joke around, you know, in yesteryear, in days gone by, Derby were a really good Prem side. It's good to see them kind of picking themselves up. They look like an outfit again. They look like they've hit the reset button, and hopefully this, like, even, you know, they might get promoted, they might not, but even if they don't, hopefully this is the start of them kind of pulling themselves up by the socks and going, let's get back to where they think they want to be.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do the quick fires, and then this will be put up into a graphic later in the week, probably coming out Friday morning, as that is a nice time for it. So I'll go round. So I'll go Dylan, Connor, and then Rob. Starting for the Prem at Birmingham, Bullets. Yeah. Saints, Beckett. SGS versus UEA.
SGS.
Fun out with the boys, though.
Honestly, let's just point out something. I feel like we need to talk about this. A great day out with the lads, a nice day out with the lads is the best thing that's come out of the uni ball season.
Oh, yeah, just comfortably.
You get smoked. Just a fun day out with the lads. Just a great day out with the lads. It's nice to think like Cardiff have got a very good sense of humour about this season. God bless them.
It's fair play.
So now this is a tight one. Kent versus Brunel. Obviously, Brunel put on a beating against Kent in their first meeting, but that was before Brunel fell to the Essex Blades. Brunel.
I'm going Kent.
Fair.
I think you've gone for Brunel every week. I'm thinking Kent. They're on good form. Sorry, it's quick fire. Yeah, Kent.
Where is it?
It is at Kent.
Yeah, Kent.
Brunel.
Brilliant. Perfect. Southampton versus Swansea. Southampton.
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 Swansea.
Ooh.
That's an interesting one, Rob. That's an interesting one. The number 1 ranked Leeds Griffins versus the Glasgow Uni Tigers. Have some of this, Glasgow. Leeds.
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 Sussex versus Oxford in the battle of. Honestly, it's a good game, but it's a battle at the bottom. Sussex.
Sussex.
Yeah. Sussex.
Lancers. Oxford.
Yeah, I knew you were going to do that. Now, Warwick versus Loughborough. For me, this what I've put in my report this week is that I think this is going to be the last big test for Loughborough before they just end up taking the entire division, because they've already beaten Nottingham Trent Renegades, who I'd say were their closest competition in the Midlands 1 this week. Oh, sorry, not this week, but they've already beaten them twice before the Christmas break. I think Warwick is their final big test, but I still don't think it's going to be enough. Loughborough.
Loughborough.
Yeah, Loughborough.
Loughborough.
Yeah, I picked Warwick versus Loughborough in their first game, and it didn't go well. Imperial versus QMBL. QMBL seems to be on the slide. Imperial.
Imperial.
A tricky one. They are on the slide. Yeah, Imperial.
Imperial.
Portsmouth versus Royal Holloway. That's an interesting one. Just for old time's sake, I'm going to pick Royal Holloway.
I'm sticking on Portsmouth. It's another wagon I'm on.
Yeah, I gotta stick with Dylan here and go Portsmouth.
Yeah, Portsmouth.
If you don't get what back in the day joke is that I used to pick against Portsmouth a lot and then they win. So there you go, Portsmouth. We've already done one. Staffordshire versus Coventry. Coventry have already beaten Staffordshire. Coventry.
Ooh, Coventry.
Tough game.
Yeah.
Staffs.
Yeah.
Cool.
What was that, Rob?
Coventry.
Coventry. No, you don't have to answer this one, Connor. MMU, Sheffield Hallam. Sorry, it's going to be Sheffield Hallam.
Hallam, Jackie.
Wow.
Right.
I'm not going to do. Rob, do you want to do yours? Because
I back it. You know I back
Hallam.
it, but
yeah, I know you back it. Rob, what about you? What are you saying? Hallam. Connor's not allowed because he's OC of MMU. Sheffield versus LJMU. I have not picked LJMU once this season, and I've come to regret it. So this week's going to be a turnaround. LJMU.
LJMU.
yeah, LGMU. That's more of a hope than anything else for us, though.
LGMU.
Edinburgh versus Northumbria. Edinburgh, don't let me down again.
Edinburgh, and then we've potentially got 4 Scottish teams in the Div 1 next year.
Edinburgh.
Div 2 now. Edge Hill versus Lancaster. Lancaster.
Ooh. Edge Hill.
That's an interesting pick. Well, a very interesting pick. In a game that I very well might be attending, dependent on if I can be bothered to drive 3 hours to Lincoln, it is De Montfort University versus the Lincoln Colonials. Now, if you know why this game is important, you know why this game is important because of some pardon my French, some fuckery last year. DMU don't seem to be doing well. Lincoln coming off a loss. But you know what? Back the boys, Lincoln.
I will never, ever, ever pick DMU as long as I live. Lincoln.
Yeah, Lincoln all day.
What a claim.
Perfect. I might go to that game. I know sort of the old boys are going to that game as well, so that'd be nice. The ARU Siege versus the Kiel Crusaders. This one's going to be a cheeky one. I know that ARU put a big score on someone. Kiel.
Siege.
Siege screwed me over last week, so I'm going to go Kiel.
Kiel.
Fucking Kiel. UEL versus Canterbury. UEL.
I'm tough on this one. I'm going Canterbury.
UEL.
Canterbury.
Wait, Canterbury Chargers is a great name. The York St John Jaguars versus the Bradford Bears. Bradford.
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 Now you don't have to do this one. Dylan, Teesside versus Harriet Watt Wolverines. Harriet Watt Wolverines for me, please.
Are they actually fielding a side? Do we know?
No, and we won't know because we record this on a Monday. You will know by Thursday, I imagine, just like we did last week.
I'll pick Harriet Watt, but I mean...
At the moment,
yeah.
from what the boys have said, the game is going ahead.
Okay. Okay, then. Now, Rob, you don't have to pick this one. Reading versus Brighton. Reading.
I'm really sorry. I've gone Brighton.
You got the man here, Dylan.
I know, but 70 points in 2 games.
To the HC's face.
To the HC
Ah,
and
they're
I
done.
presume DC's
It's
first too.
70 points in 2 games. You just can't knock that. I think you've got a 14-point average scoring wise. I just think Brighton's offense is looking hot, personally.
Reading.
Okay, then, if the
God.
game takes place, Sunderland versus Edinburgh Napier. Oh, should we even bother picking this one? Genuinely, should we just not bother? Let's not bother.
I'd pick Napier if it's
I'll
going
pick
ahead.
Napier.
But
Yeah,
it's really sad. It's just really sad.
yeah. Well, we can sort of get to it. No, we got some time. Yeah, Sunderland. It is a shame. Like Sunderland were making moves, and it just seems like they can't even get to the point where they can do what UWS do in a field 11 people, which is a shame. But
That's a whole other kettle of fish, though. Being turning up to a game with 11 players, that's just ridiculous.
Now, moving on to now there are lots of games happening this week in the Div 2 Southwest. Do I pick these games? Interesting. The UE Bullets 2s versus Taranai Aberystwyth. Bullets 2s.
Bullets 2s.
They're not very impressive, but still Bullets 2s.
Yeah, Bullets 2s.
Don't say that on the stream. Please.
What? Don't say what.
Everyone be nice to the Div 2 Southwest teams, for fuck's sake.
Right.
Please.
That's not what you said off stream, Tabs. You've.
Huh? Oh, fuck off, Dylan. I didn't say anything and you know it. Plymouth versus Bath Spa. Plymouth.
Plymouth.
But I could have voted against Bath Spa. I love Bath Spa. Bath Spa. Okay, why not?
Worcester versus Bath. Then that's the Bath Killer Bees, ladies and gentlemen. The Killer Bees.
Killer Bees.
Yeah, Plymouth.
Honestly, I mean this. Thinking about Bath Killer Bees makes me sad. Greenwich versus UCL. Greenwich.
I think that's
UCL.
Greenwich.
And finally, Chichester versus the Solent Redhawks. Solent.
Solent.
Perfect. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the rundown is pretty much over. Lindsay, make him do laps. Don't disrespect head coaches to their face. Lie
Lindsay,
about
you
it
disrespected Lindsay last week,
We want a video.
I didn't
we want a video of you doing gassers.
I saw a text after through the stream from Lindsay talking about wanting to see pom-poms and cheer outfit next week. So I think I'm already on the road to some form of punishment. But
that's it, mate. Because you can't be best friends with the quarterback and on the cheerleading squad when you're not performing. So
yeah, it's a situationship.
Brilliant. What a world we live in. With that, ladies and gentlemen, the rundown for week 7 is in the books. Thank you very much to everyone who has watched, who has listened on Spotify, hopefully, because this will be going up on Spotify as soon as I'm able to do it, so probably later on tonight. Thank you very much to our guest, Rob Smith, over at the Reading Knights. So everyone who... Oh, thank you for being on, Rob. Thank you to Dylan. Thank you to Connor. And if you are playing this week, good luck. Stay in good health. And join us here next week at 8 as we dissect week 7 and peek on forward to week 8. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye. Bye. Don't all wave. Don't all wave. It's going to end soon.
Bye.
End. Click end broadcast. Click end broadcast. Why is it not ending? It's because
Nice.
it's because my web page has become unresponsive. So the people who are still here, you're just gonna have to deal with this maybe for another minute.